Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Wiggity, what's up?
It's going real good.
Oh, welcome back to another one of these amazing little telegraphic masterpieces.
Thank you for joining us here at Laughing Vikings Studio on a Monday night in downtown Toronto for another installment of 39 Drunken Disorderlies.
We're
All right.
podcasting.
And we are podcasting. Yes, we are. Fucking right.
It's kind of a podcast party. That's what's fun about doing it at the studio. We
Yeah.
have like a nice private, intimate audience here.
We're taking suggestions. Hello, everybody.
Friends,
Welcome.
crew.
We take suggestions on how
Street
to increase. Yeah.
Street people. Yeah. I think we know who you are, don't we?
How do we increase the party? We'll take ideas from
What number is
callers.
this one?
How
The
to
one
increase
after probably the one after the last one. If you're listening to this, you probably know.
I'm sorry, this is 29.
29.
So
that's
we are-
really close to 30.
We're reaching a hallmark here.
We are
Reaching a hallmark.
numbers here, folks.
29
That's
drunken
awesome.
disorderly.
Like all
That's
things
awesome.
in life, it's time's passing here.
29 drunken disorderlies. 29. We should make a
10
song
away from
like
30.
99. 39 drunken disorderlies.
Yeah, you just
on the
kinda
wall,
count it
39
down
drunken
until, yeah, it goes off.
disorderlies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the yeah.
No, that'd be intense.
You
That'd be
take
something that a
Bob
couple of
down.
drunken assholes would definitely spend a lot of time doing.
Take Bob down, pass him around.
That never happened.
No, that doesn't.
If you can, with 400 guys on the wall, maybe one more bottle might fall, but
No, it's like
it stops
try-
working, right? You mean it falls apart really fast.
Take Bob down. And
How many forklifts to carry him around? Like, the folk music venue there, just like
Right.
it kind of. Oh, speaking of folk music, I want to give a shout out to Amigo the Devil.
Ooh, Amigo the Devil. That's by far the coolest shout out we've ever made.
Yeah, he's a band. He's a musician. He's quite great. I went and saw him last week, and won like best boyfriend of the week award in the process.
Yeah, tell us
I
about
mentioned
that.
it earlier. Yeah.
How did you win best boyfriend?
Well, it was great. It was easy. It was great because it was easy and it was impactful. It meant something. So Wednesday night went out to the show. Girlfriend and I got hosed. She lost everything: wallet, phone, ID,
That
money.
sucks. That's the
everything.
worst.
what?
And Thursday we spent all day
Identity.
hunting it down, trying, finding, calling. No answers. No hope. All despair. Just despair. So Friday morning we had to get her on a bus to go to London for what have you. So she went out to London. And I just wasn't satisfied with the answer of no callbacks and no responses to emails. So on Friday I went back to the venue where the guy was playing and talked to the security guy, and immediately there it was. Everything. Wallet, phone, ID, everything.
All loose but together.
Well, no, she has one of those little purse containers that has like that holds your phone and has your ID, credit cards and shit and all this. In other words, a bad idea.
Okay.
So what was the deal? Were they holding out or?
No,
were
they just didn't have that. They just a bad communication
time
system
for that
between
shit.
management to general floor staff, I think,
Right.
is the issue. And that happens
The
a lot.
night
in
guy
bars.
is not the same as the morning guy.
Or just regardless, the
On note.
management just doesn't communicate properly with their staff, and that's fine.
Oh.
That happens a lot. But anyway, it worked out in my benefit because I got it all back. Got to text her mom when they were in, like, on and be like, yeah, I got it all back. Everything. Whatcha? Best boyfriend of the week.
Oh, yeah.
So
Points.
tell how, and this is interesting. So she had to get on a train, and is there usually ID or you have to check?
It wasn't a
in,
train, it
or
was the
what
Greyhound.
It was a
Go bus.
Greyhound.
When you
You
have,
need
yeah,
ID
when you
on a
have an
Greyhound, yeah.
online ticket, though,
Right.
it's like it's registered to a name, a credit card number, you have a confirmation number, and then you need your ID.
Oh, so they look at
So when
the
you get
ticket
there,
and
they
then-
say the name is this name, yada yada yada. So like Bob J, whatever, and your fucking credit card number is your confirmation number is some 7-digit whatever, and then they want you to show ID to get the
Sounds
the
complicated.
ticket.
In my head, I really wish that out there somewhere there's a guy named Bob J. Whatever.
Yeah.
And he checks in the hotels. Hello, sir. Welcome. Will the reservation be under? It's under Bob J. Whatever. Excuse me. Sorry.
That'll be
Continue.
for Bob J. Whatever.
Listen, I'm not trying to make up
Mr. Whatever.
fantastic aliases here. I'm just doing a fucking podcast about like trying to get my girlfriend on a bus. You want fantastic fucking aliases? Okay, like Wilford.
I like that.
Wilford Tiverton,
No, I wouldn't have
Alexander
commented. I
the
wouldn't
Eighth
have
or something
commented
is trying to get on the
if I
bus.
didn't
Like,
love it. I loved
seriously.
it. Bob J. Whatever.
So-
Yeah, I found this song
He's a
by
character.
Amigo the Devil.
One thing I know about Bob J. the character is he's
It looks more like an ad by Google.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
Check out.
and
Bingo the
apparently,
Devil. This is Cocaine and Abel.
yeah.
Interesting. Cocaine and Abel. I get it.
And apparently, my girlfriend said also during the show, there's someone taking video footage that's been posted of the show, and apparently it's popular enough that she found it, and I'm in it. And
of course, because you look like the guy. First of all. All right. Our producer saying the audio is not good.
Yes.
That's because
if
it
you're
never
listening
is.
Right now, then
just a big shout out to Amigo the
Not
Devil.
right now.
Check him out. You can
Don't
find
look
him
up right now.
You can find him. He's great.
Keep listening to the podcast, our podcast, but right
yeah,
afterwards, look up. Amigo
You can
the
also
Devil.
look for live video footage from the most recent show, which was last Wednesday, and
that had 626,000 views, so that's vetted by society. As far
Where
as
was
I'm
the show?
concerned.
oh, is that Lee's Palace?
Yeah.
And the only complaint I have about Lee's at all at this point in time is that at the time they had no coat check open, and I'm sorry, like middle of winter,
Right.
700 people, 700
coats.
700 people standing in a packed venue holding their jackets, like holding their bag. It just kind of
You just throw them on the bed like every house party.
It's on Lee's bed.
It's a coat pile.
Doesn't
It's a
Lee?
big giant.
Lee's
coat
got a bed
pile.
there. She got a palace.
that's a reality. Those things do happen. And you know
Right.
what? You know what that leads to? People
coat
losing all
fire.
of their shit.
You'd think in a place called Lee's Palace there'd be a giant bed somewhere.
Right.
Giant palace
Full
bed.
of coats.
Why?
Well, palace, right? They have lots
Yeah,
of
palace.
nice things in there, like big beds and shiny latrines.
How can you call something a palace that doesn't have a coat check or a spot for coats?
Well, I'm cracking a beer to that piece of logical fallacy.
That makes
I think of
sense.
a palace, and the first thing I don't think of, I had a giant bed in that shit.
You don't think about
I
it?
didn't
Yeah.
sleep over there.
I would.
you
I
have
would.
a king size
I would.
bed.
Yeah, you sleep in your giant palace. That's
I don't
usually where
know.
you go.
Maybe my expectations for a palace are a little different than yours. I walk in and I'm
I
like,
mean, a
where-
castle.
He just thinks
I want the
dungeon.
no. I want
yeah,
this.
that's,
No,
that's
dungeon.
grungy.
I
but
want
like a
treasury.
palace.
I want like, where's the
Probably not sleeping in your palace, are you?
Trevor just thinks
it's your party
sleeping
palace.
and fucking. That's
Party
all
palace.
he's thinking.
Although you don't need a bed to do all of that. But
That's true.
where the fuck
That's
did
awesome.
this go and how did it get there? All right,
We're
that's
podcast.
okay.
We
We're
got
podcast. We're
medieval on this.
podcasting. To quote Lars.
podcasting.
So yeah, I was thinking about Lost and Found, and that kind of reminded me of sort of another one of the constants of my life anyway, which is good luck with losing things and getting them back.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm so in with you.
I've
on
had
that.
like the giant man's karma of extra luck. My old phone. Okay, well, just to give you an example, one time I was wasted on a streetcar going around home, and I was trying to use my phone, and I kept passing out and dropping the phone. And I did it like 3 or 4 times, and finally this dude, and it turned out he was like a super nice dude, picked the phone up because I just couldn't like. Meh. He took the phone. He texted. He found my girlfriend's number at the time. Texted her and said, "I ride this streetcar all the time. I'll meet you anywhere and give you the phone back." Gave her the phone back and gave her homemade cookies with my
Nice.
phone. So this guy was just so nice. He's like, "Oh, he looked like he had a rough night," and let you down. She's like,
That's
"Yeah,
great.
yeah, he has a couple of those a week, just those rough nights." And I was like, and she was so, he was so nice about it. Like, yeah, cookies. Who? I mean, I
That's
found
awesome.
your wallet and I baked you cookies.
More people should
Like,
do that.
think about
And
that.
like,
you
and
know?
like real cookies.
Strangers.
Yeah.
Nice cookies.
Strangers
No, seriously, there's
cookies.
nothing-
Not like
nothing-
razor blade
No,
cookies.
nothing nefarious or weird about them. Like,
Right.
they were just like ginger snap cookies, like a little bit of frosting, like really nice little cookies. And I was flabbergasted. She's like, "How do you lose your fucking phone and have the nicest guy in the world sitting next to you give it back? How does that happen?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I lost my same phone like 5 or 6 times. Always got it back. I've lost my wallet like 3
Right.
times. Always got it back.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want your garbage.
My typical trend is that I get everything replaced very quickly and easily, like the next day or a couple days later, and then a week later I get a text or a phone call or a message that like, "Hey, got your wallet," and then I get my old wallet after I've canceled everything else. So
Yeah.
it's,
I think
it's just like entirely like
I think
it's
this
a wash.
the
basically.
strangest thing I got a call lost and found was I lost my wallet in the middle of the winter in St. Catharines, and then later in like the summer, in midsummer, I get a random phone call and they're like, "Hi, is this Trevor Ketcheson?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We're Shoppers Drug Mart located down at the Penn Center. We have your driver's license." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we've got it here."
Nice.
I was like, "What?" Like someone, they didn't say who, gave it to them.
Were you at a Shoppers or someone just brought it into Shoppers?
It was just at a
like Shoppers is as good as the police department.
Yeah, and I don't know if like,
I don't know where to bring this thing,
the
but
whole
Shoppers is open.
The whole wallet
you know?
disappeared, but
your driver's license arrived
showed
at
up at
Shoppers.
Shoppers. Right.
In a town that you didn't lose your wallet in.
We
That's
need to
right.
turn it into a government office. Shoppers Drug Mart.
And then I found my debit card behind the stove in the house that I was living in. Turned out my roommate had stolen my wallet. Dun dun dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
That was.
That really sucks.
But yeah, it was weird.
I found my passport in I found my US passport of all things, which is like has some value and some implications, in a desk that I put outside the studio it was here when I moved in, and I used it for a little while and then I got rid of it and I put it on the back deck like to discard it.
Like that,
And it was
that metal
out-
one.
It was out there for like, I don't know. It was out there for months in rain and weather, like probably a winter. And then I double checked. I just went out and like when I totally disposed of it, it was in the drawer, kind of like swollen by weather and like moisture a little bit. And I was like, fuck. Like,
Got that back though.
I thought I was missing it. And I was like, I was kind of procrastinating. Like, oh, I got to go down to the fucking embassy and fill out all kinds of shit. And
Go down to the embassy, sleep on a bed.
they're not.
that's at
gonna
an
be
embassy,
happy
right?
with me.
Man, one night I was,
give you
like I said,
stink
when I
eye.
was walking to a band practice, I'm walking up the street near Main and Danforth, and I'm traveling up the street, kind of stoned.
Are we still
yeah.
talking about passports?
Oh yeah, here we
Okay,
are.
so the first passport I got, I had for a day, and then my mom took it. I was like 16. And the logic she was using is she didn't want me to join a religious extremist group.
Nice. Jabril,
Because when I
was your mom racially profiling you as a child? That
yeah,
sounds like what she was doing.
because there were a lot of people in my age group just joining religious
I
extremist
mean, why would a
groups.
16-year-old? That's actually good. Why would you need your own passport as a 16-year-old?
Exactly. I wanted to go to Minnesota with my friends.
That sounds
To
suspect.
join a
Yeah.
religious extremist group called Christians for Jabril, like
the Minnesota
those just
State.
dangerous extremist groups. Pen
Nobody's trying
pals.
to go to Minnesota.
By
No,
the way, that was
no.
Jabril the Thrill. Oh, we missed you, Jabril the Thrill.
Do they have an airline school there? Like, Minnesota. No one's going to think about Minnesota. I see her fears right there. I don't know. Never mind. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's interesting. Was your mom being protective of you or racist towards you?
I like to think protective.
Right, of
considering
course.
at the time,
But- yeah.
young guy gets a passport,
Why didn't she believe in you? Why did she think you were
That's
susceptible?
insane.
You were
Young
like-
guy gets a
See,
passport.
she had the
Jabril.
she had
He's
the passport.
suggestive
You know.
type. He's always doing what
She
Karim
had-
says.
She had the passport
I just
for so
renewed my
long it
passport. What
expired
is that?
without me knowing.
I
I never used it. I just got it, went on one trip, and that was it. Like I never saw
Where
it
was the
again.
one trip?
To Minnesota. That was it. And
Oh,
then
you
it was
did?
gone.
So you
Yeah.
went to Minnesota.
Yeah,
How was Minnesota?
Wait.
it was good. It was
Yeah,
good.
how was the training, Jabril?
It was a trip.
Don't
Okay,
say
good,
things
good,
like
good,
that.
good.
The
That's
NSA
bad.
will now he's tagged and can't travel now.
We're all tagged.
Hey, I'm
We
with
all
an
are.
American in here, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
American. Yeah, you're good.
Are you actually?
You're
We
good. Just
vouch
stick
for
with
you. You
me.
got a good handful
Okay.
of
I learned
Stick
something
with
new
me.
about you.
You're fine. You're
Alright.
fine. Jabril the Thrill. That was great. I like that.
He certainly knows how to break the thrill. Puts the trill back in thrill.
That was a great story.
He's saying right now it was a good story. It was funny.
So yeah, I went and I got my passport and I was there and I told them I had to go to my boss's wedding. And they asked me what I did for a living and I said I was self-employed. And the woman said, "Congratulations." And I realized that she thought I was going to my own wedding. And the truth is I'm a mercenary. I'm self-employed, but I have a boss. Right? And so I was like, no, it's not like that. She's like, "Well, who pays you?" And I'm like, "Well, I do, but it's like complicated." And then she looked at me strange and was like, can I just say congratulations and stamp your passport? And I was like, yep. Because I realized it was getting weird. You know, like, no, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Right.
I do work for a living. It's fine. The robot response is the best. What do you do for a living? I don't know. Good. Sign it.
Really? They would just say that? I don't know.
I don't know.
I would like to be the first to point out that Rich is asleep. We are at that point in the podcast where Rich is sleeping.
For all
We did
the
it,
betters
everybody.
out there who
Shout
had
out to Rich.
who had
This
the
is always a
15
great moment because when he listens to this later, he knows. He has long days. He works.
I noticed he was taking
Yeah,
this.
it's long
He
days.
gets tuckered out.
And what do you you have long days. So what's in the briefcase, sir? Papers, business papers. And what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm currently unemployed. To quote the Big Lebowski, like that's Richard's life.
Is it? What does Richie do?
Nothing.
Oh, no?
No.
I can see him propped
I
into
thought
a
he was a
sleeping position
tradesperson.
there.
What should he do? What would he be best at?
Lumberjack.
What does he want to do? Karim and Jabril are dying right now.
Okay,
because
I gotta tell you what just
this part of the
happened.
podcast is we're looking at Rich and he's passed
Okay, I gotta point out that only you guys would get away with saying "I don't know" when like a guy at the border asks you what you do for a living.
Are you implying that white people have it easier than?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Touche. Good point. Yeah, that's a great point.
It's like
Yeah.
he was saying, if I had said that, like as I was getting
Yeah,
into
well,
the country,
Jabril,
I would have never gotten in.
Stop blowing things up.
Yeah, you're training in Minnesota, and you
all
don't
Jabril's
and
fault.
you don't know what you do for a living. Yeah, it sounds pretty suspect.
Right.
Wait,
Jabril.
shit. I get one better than that. What you want to see white privilege in action? I set off the dirty bomb detector at the border and didn't get shot.
But Jabril, the
Like, they're like,
thrill- no.
this guy's glowing in the dark, and I was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, did you have a medical procedure, sir? I'm like, I did. They're like, all right, we'll come with those.
That's
See,
or
Nice.
see what I've just proven? No, worst part is though, my passport was expired at the time, and they didn't notice that because they're too busy making sure I was radioactive.
What do you mean?
I was going to a funeral, and my passport was expired. I didn't realize it was.
No, you just said radioactive.
Yeah, I set off the dirty bomb detector
Oh,
because I was
shit.
radioactive.
Oh,
I had a
okay.
gallium sweep. I had a medical exam where they inject you with radioactive isotopes and then you take an MRI,
okay,
right?
Okay.
But it was weeks and weeks and weeks before I crossed the border, and I still set off their like radiation detector. And then the next thing you know, is this guy with a fucking machine gun and the Geiger counter right next to the door of the
Holy
truck, and he's like,
fuck.
"Ooh," you know, like scanning
You're
through the
also
door,
glowing and you're
and he's
green.
like, I want you to pull into secondary, and we're like, yeah, okay, Mr. Machine Gun, like, we're gonna pull over, like, you know. No,
That's crazy.
I don't think so. We're Canadians. It's like, you're
good
going to have
to
to machine gun us to death for our rights to whatever.
That's-
So,
That's impressive to me to know that they're like they would be on that.
you know what my favorite part is, though? Less than a week later, I came back over the Canadian border. Less than a week later. And there's no Geiger counter or machine
Right.
gun. None. There's a middle-aged French Canadian woman
With
who's like,
hand in neck.
do you have anything to declare? Did you come over? And we're like, no. She's like, not even smokes or anything from duty free?
Oh.
And we're like, no, we just came from a funeral. And she's like, oh, well, I'm sorry then. Then boys, welcome home. So no Geiger counters, no nothing. Just like they're concerned I didn't buy duty-free smokes. Like, welcome to Canada. Did you get your duty-free smokes?
You're like,
You can bring your dirty bombs in here, but fuck the duty-free smokes. You didn't get that shit? You kidding? I thought that was a bit strange. Like, no one questions the radioactivity, but it's like, hey, did you buy any smokes at duty-free?
welcome home, Mr. Malcolm. Here's your double and bacon, egg, and cheese.
That's right. That's right. Did you get your smokes at duty free? No, traitor. This guy might be. I was at a funeral. Oh, okay.
That's great.
So yeah.
I feel like maybe Jabril would go cyber attack and some kind of like dick pic pyramid scheme that just like topples empires and shuts down banks. Don't you think that'd be a funny terrorist scheme? Cyber attack, some kind of dick pic cyber attack. That's a good movie, comedy
We
movie.
can talk about other things than dick
I'm
pics.
saying fictitiously,
You call
Jabril
it
the Thrill.
cyber dick?
Jabril
We
the
can talk
Thrill. When
about
we say
other-
Jabril the Thrill, I just want to put this out. This, if anyone cares about this, but Jabril the Thrill is kind of like a caricature that we have created. That's part of the podcast. He's like a character in a show, fictional, based on truish things, but
He does.
not real.
He does
You
larger
just-
larger
you
than
can't
life.
listen to this kind of stuff and just be like, "Oh, all this is factual." Okay, there we go.
He does larger than life things than you.
Yeah, for the
fine.
record.
Yeah.
For the record, off the record.
On the record, it's off the record.
On the record. this
For
is
the
all off
record?
record. Where is the record, anyways? Who
What?
keeps it?
Yeah, and
By the way, who
Where-
owns
where-
the master?
where can
Yeah.
we hear it?
All right, Jabril, what's up? Should we continue?
What are we talking
What's
about?
I think we're gonna keep rolling.
Are we continuing?
Keep
No, we're good.
rolling. Rich wants us to
rolling.
keep going. So
Let's shift gears.
yeah.
We have another topic, or let's talk more about Lost and Found.
Well, no. The idea was simple. I was thinking about how many times, opportunity. It was more of sort of an analysis of luck
Right.
and the randomness of chance, and how often that has either been my salvation or my absolute catastrophe. Right. And I think it's a narrative that everyone can relate to some extent, because I feel like we all occasionally realize how close we are to chaos when it just sort of happens. Like there's shit you just can't predict. You know what I mean? You're standing on the
Yeah.
sidewalk and that car goes by and splashes you with a huge salty ice puddle or something, and you just didn't see it coming. And if you were standing 2 feet further away, the causality would be different. Yada yada yada. Right? But it's not even a conscious thing. You don't think of it at the time, and when you do later on reflect on either how close to catastrophe or how far from it you've come based on chance, sometimes it's terrifying. And I don't know, to me today, I had one of these moments where I thought to myself, okay, look, I've survived through a lot of really weird and dangerous and psychotic times. And I don't really even know necessarily how sometimes. It was almost like completely by accident, like literally a fluke entirely. You know what I mean? You step to the left and the bullets hit to the right, or the guy with the knife just happened to be a few millimeters off, or, one of those things. And a lot of people haven't survived in exactly those circumstances. I mean, you watch the fucking news every goddamn day and you see their bodies stacked up like fucking cordwood for the multimedia circus, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's coroner services here. Like, there's a lot of deaths. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it just sort of occurred to me today. Sometimes you walk into situations thinking you have control over it because you know what you're doing, you're trained, or you're smart, or you're this or that. But occasionally you walk between the lines, and that's it. That's the only reason you're still alive, because you were lucky this time, blessed, lucky, inherent, whatever. Wrong place, right time. Who knows? I don't know how to describe it, but I've experienced it a couple times this weekend. I've seen things that could have gone entirely wrong in all the wrong ways, and managed not to be there for that terrifying outcome. And that was great.
Do you think like you have to afford yourself the highs and the lows,
You had no choice.
or like some people try to control how much chaos comes into their life, but obviously you just said you can't control it. So do you think you could just like it's how much you want to give yourself up to that?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Because you mentioned that some good things happen to you, but then
No, you're
you gotta
absolutely
take
right.
the good with the bad.
No, you're
right?
absolutely right. To some extent, I very much do give myself over to the chaos of that, because frankly, that's just the way I see the world. It's the nature of things as I know it.
I mean, it's also a situation where you do put yourself in those kind of situations through your work or through the venues and the scenarios you're around. You're around situations where there's violence and there's weapons way more than the average person because
Yeah.
of the nature of your business.
That's right.
So that's also a choice too.
That's
You,
right.
you could change that. You could change like drugs and alcohol are obviously the wild card thing when
Yeah.
people do unpredictable stuff. That's a choice. So we
No,
all,
that's
we
very
all
true.
put ourselves in those situations.
No, that's very, very
as
true.
well.
Yeah, that's
But
very true.
it is it's crazy.
And that's also part of the covenant you got to make when you decide that you're going to be like a person that works in the nightlife in bar scene, or as a bouncer, even a drug dealer. I guess the whole nightlife, the entire scenario. At a certain point, you sign that covenant with yourself and you say, look, this is what I do. This is the world I live in. I accept the hazards and risks of it because I know them, and whether that's bred or born or learned or just something you fall into, I guess it makes no difference, right? That's kind of what creates the nightlife of all cities, and that's what created definitely the fundamental of most of my life was working in bars and clubs and being a musician and doing all that kind of shit that was basically around the nightlife and the drug culture and the counterculture. I mean, that was what I enjoyed as a lifestyle. That was literally it.
What do you think the biggest draw of? I guess my question is like living a nightlife, like living a lifestyle that whether it's bouncing or bartending or being a musician or something that at night. What do you think the biggest like perk or the biggest thing that someone who maybe is a day person wouldn't get or maybe would want to hear? Or like what's the what I mean? Like what's the biggest perk or like what's?
Well, it's the most obvious, man. It's the most obvious. It's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's the most obvious. It's like, okay, well,
life.
That's right. You're there. You're in the party central all the time. That means there's more drugs, there's more sex, there's more rock and roll, there's more fun. It's just, but it comes with like an enormous price tag. You can't have a normal life because you're asleep all day, so you're not doing day job stuff
Or even day activity stuff.
right. Like trying to find
Underworld.
a job, going to school, all these things. You don't really do that if you're just partying constantly, right? But that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, you're just making money.
And you can make good money.
You're making a lot of money.
But the problem is when you're young, that money's lost on you because you're ridiculous and you probably spend it on drugs and get worse.
Yeah.
And when you're older, you can't do anything with it because you have no credentials, like no credit, no nothing.
Because you're just still doing the gig that you've been doing.
Did you guys know that I was a bouncer at one time?
I believe it. You're not little.
Wait for it.
I think.
I thought
worked
it was
one
a joke.
shift, so it was no. This is real.
I was waiting for it. Yeah.
I like though that you were like, here we go. Like I just dropped just like the premise.
Yeah. It was so bad they asked me to leave.
In university in my hometown, which is Aurelia, there was a bar at the time called Tux 2, which was down by the waterfront. And I was a long time partier. Like it's my hometown, so I'd always go there with my buddies. And then for some reason, one summer I decided to get a job there. Partly to be like, oh, maybe if instead of spending so much money here on a Saturday, I'll make a bit of money and I'll still be able to be in the party. But so they hired me and I was bouncer. And night one, there's like scuffles and fights and shit. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, fuck that. It's just not me. Like I'm a lover, not a fighter, Bob. I'm just not a fighter. I'm like, I don't want to get punched in the face.
Trance.
I'm like, I'm just so used to, for me, I'm just so used to, I go to a bar and I'm there to have fun.
So that on that time marker,
They're
cue crystal
good
method,
stuff.
okay? Like that.
Right.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. Cue crystal method.
No, I hated it. So they switched me to, and I told them, I like went to them. I'm like, I don't want to be like on the dance floor and there's fucking broken glass. Like I'm not that guy. Like I'm not going to be the guy to step up to that situation. So they put me on the door and I was just like eye candy host. And I was just like frosted tips guy, just like welcoming, handing out lollipops to the girls and collecting cover.
You're a bitch.
Yeah. I told you I'm a lover, not a fighter. That's my story.
I only had one fight on the dance floor that ever ended up wrestling in broken glass.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan. Not a fan.
That sucks. I just don't like fighting. I don't know how you do it. I hate it.
Karim,
I don't like I don't like
what's about
being
liking
punched
fighting?
or
It's not about
punching.
liking fighting. It's about liking winning, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because getting punched in the face sucks, no matter how good you are at it.
Fucking sucks. Yeah.
Right. Not getting punched in the face, but winning feels pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
It does. I
So
ain't
you
gonna
guys
lie.
have
It
like
does.
punch fever. You have like knockout fever.
Knockout fever?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. Explain. Well,
Like
what do you
gun-
mean?
Gun fever. Well, you just said you said what's good about fighting is winning.
Yeah.
So obviously you like fighting because you like standing over a guy after you knocked him out.
No, that's him. I personally don't like
He's
fighting.
not
I don't
wrong.
fight that much. Like,
Right.
If you ask any of my
You
friends,
train.
they probably,
You train,
I
but
train.
not-
And that's
yeah.
because, first of all, it's good for your body.
Right.
You get physical exercise. And two, like, funny, it's a very funny thing, but the more you know about how to fight, the less you fight.
You should fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Because you know exactly how that feels. Like, I have been punched in the face and basically lost track of where the roof was and where the
totally rung your bell.
I spun around. I was like, holy shit. And I couldn't move for like 10 minutes. I was just sitting on the side.
Right.
So I know exactly how that feels like. But I also know that feeling of like, especially if you fight somebody that's arrogant.
Winning.
Right.
And
where you're like, fuck that guy.
yeah, exactly. When you're like,
Yeah.
you have that guy that's really fucking arrogant and
It's
you
like a lesson.
destroy him. And yeah, that is an empowerment feeling.
Winning.
Right.
But that's
I get it.
about it.
That
yeah.
makes sense. Because for me, if I like, I'm the kind of guy that like want to be like,
After he
"All
gives
right,"
you, after
like,
he gives you the
everybody
lollipop, he
calm
wants to make sure everyone's happy, and that's winning.
calm. No, I would just be like, calm down. Let's just go home. Like,
See, that's the thing. You're the guy
street
that
fights
calms
and
down.
shit. Like, I'm like, yeah.
I do the same thing too, but I am the guy that they call. They're like, my friends are fighting. They come and get me. It's like, your friend's fighting over there. I can go break them up.
Right. Yeah.
And I step in. I was like, you either stop or I join in.
true.
And usually that works.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's like you stop or I join in and beat the fuck out of both of you.
Right.
And yeah, that works.
Well, I got some good bouncer jokes here for you guys.
Oh, nice work.
Queued up.
All right, go.
A guy walks up to a bar. The bouncer, can I see your ID? Guy, I hope so. They don't make him in Braille. And he promptly says, I'll see myself out.
Yeah, I was gonna say read the bottom part.
Yeah, he'll see himself
And
out.
then
And
see
why
yourself out.
why didn't the bouncer let Sigmund Freud into the bar?
I can think of at least one reason, but
He was packing major heat.
He forgot his
ID. Nice. That's a good joke.
It's pretty. I followed up with that
Shout
one
out.
because that one's not bad.
ouch.
If you know any good bouncer jokes, feel free to write in to 39DD Show. Let us know. Crack this up.
39DD at 39DD.
If you get a laughy face, that's good. If you get a laughy face and the side laughy face, then you really crack this up. That's how we measure those.
Yeah, you blew us away.
If you get that plus like an explode, it's a good.
No, if it gets any further than that, you'll just get one of Jabril's dick pics.
Bro, can we cue one of those up? Can we get one of those?
Jabril, remember that Jabril the Thrill is a caricature, not a real person.
So it can
Start
be.
sending dick pics to someone and then see
dick
what it's like. And then you will stop making fun of me.
Weeks
What?
later.
There's too much dick pic stuff here. I don't know.
No, see, the problem is Jabril. I have to go back to this. We're going back to this again. This is gonna be one of those themes, like one of those like Saturday Night Live themes. The reason I am not going to send dick pics on your request is because you seem really enthusiastic about how it will change my life, like almost culty, like Heaven's Gate. Like,
Is Jabril suggesting that you send?
yes,
dick
he's
pics?
been
Like
on
what,
this
just
for a while.
out? Like
He's been on this for
like where?
like just take
Like
some
into
penis
the-
pics and just send them off to someone, anyone.
It's like
like
it feels so liberating.
like to
Really?
grandma from Big Bob.
Isn't it illegal?
Subject
That
dick
can't be
pics.
illegal.
To the guy who runs the City TV down at Dundas Square. Dick
Yeah.
pics.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do that.
Subject dick pics from Big Bob.
Feels so much better.
And then Jabril's like, see, don't you feel better? No, actually, I feel like a felon.
I found out today that it's
You see what I mean? Like,
it's illegal in civil court. It's actually a tort law in Canada now. I don't know what the exact like wording of it is. Like defamation is one thing, and like harassment is one, and certain things like that you can sue people in civil court. But now one is, it's like non-consensual release of private media or something like that. So, and she was like, AKA revenge porn sort of thing.
Of course,
like a
yeah,
guy and a girl, and then they split up, and now it's like,
that was
it's-
never.
it's-
That was that's recent. It
yeah,
became
it's very
illegal
recent
recently.
because it wasn't a thing.
yeah.
How?
Well,
Well,
actually,
just
that
'cause
makes a lot of
laws take a
sense
little
because
while.
once you make
No,
something.
I mean, why recently? Like it should
well,
have
because
been.
here's the thing: if I'm, for example, let's go back to like the age of Polaroid. Just to explain the law here, it actually makes sense. It's weird, but it's true. The age of Polaroid. Okay, imagine I had a Polaroid camera, And you took pictures of yourself naked on my Polaroid because you and me are like having some milk chocolate loving back in the 70s or something, right?
That's what they had back then.
There'd be a lot of
steamy.
like
Little
giant
chicken and
like
waffles.
jungle bush because neither of us had manscaping. But anyway, so and I have those Polaroids in a shoebox under my bed for like 9, 10, 12 years.
The animators are going to have a heyday
Now,
with
it
this.
sounds like private material, but it's only private for the person who owns them. And that essentially means, because again, ownership, possession is 9 times of the law.
Sure is.
So if you and I have not been a thing for 20 years and they're in my shoebox under my bed, under standard possession laws, those are mine, which means that I can publish those as pictures that I own. Now, because you have no expectation of privacy except for the fact you're in a relationship, but the
I don't
camera
think that's
introduces
the case
it.
anymore now.
Yes, that's right.
I'm really-
And that has changed. That has changed. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm really confused because one of the things I first learned as a street photographer is that you're not allowed to release
So it's
like
private-
people's
it
faces.
means- yeah.
So you cannot, for example, for me on my Instagram, I usually don't post people.
Again,
Blur
the
them out.
Polaroid is a physical
Yeah.
object, not an image. In that
Oh,
instance, it's because
okay.
it's a possession.
Okay, that I can understand.
But I've heard
Because,
the opposite,
like,
where
you
things in the street
releasing-
are fair game.
Yeah, no, like
it's
You
public
have no
domain.
expectation of
It
privacy.
depends on
You
like
have no expectation of privacy in the public space, especially if you're like in the TTC or a place where they already posted
yes,
on the
exactly.
walls.
If you're in places like that, then yeah, I can take pictures
Where
of
it
you.
says
But let's say, for example,
CCTV
you're in a
footage.
restaurant
You'll be filmed or what have
and
you.
I take a picture of you
Yeah,
in that
that's not
restaurant.
public.
That's exactly
Right.
So
Street is public.
it's complicated. Like even some buildings, for example, something that a lot of
It's
photographers
close to
don't
the
know
zoning law.
is that the CN Tower is fucking copyrighted.
That's
So
weird.
if you put
true.
if you put a picture of the CN Tower
Can't
online,
profit by
you
it.
cannot profit off that picture. It's the same thing with the Eiffel Tower in France.
Really?
Yeah, you cannot do that.
That's smart.
Yeah.
You have to have special permission. So it's really weird that those have been existing for like decades.
I'm gonna copyright myself, so every time someone takes a picture of me, they
Exactly, you
can't
can do
profit,
that.
or
Like, even-
I'll get a royalty.
For
Next
example,
time you
for me,
post
if I
on
take
Instagram,
pictures
I
of
get 5
a
cents.
model,
Thank you.
I have to have that model released, like sign a release form. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
it's really, really blowing my mind right now that revenge porn thing just became illegal. Like,
I
how?
think it's just like all cyber stuff is just like everything takes a while.
Yeah.
They're slow.
No, but the
Gets that.
thing is, revenge porn was a very specific thing that the internet really kicked into a sort of a terrifying proportion. And I don't believe in bullying. I'm actually really, really against it. One of the reasons that I fight and have fought all my life is because I was bullied a lot as a youth, and I don't believe in that shit. And I actually warned. I mean, I've told you this story before. I warned the guy that was my childhood bully that one day I'd be bigger than him, and he was a pretty big kid. And years later, I encountered him on the streetcar, and he was wearing a suit and on his way to work and did not know who I was. And I was like 18, 19, and like
That's crazy.
really quite large.
How big was he, you think?
6'2".
How was he? How big was he when you?
Okay.
When he was bigger than you? Like
Well, he was like almost 17, so he was like 6'1".
he was
6
much
feet.
older.
So he was like a Biff from Back to the Future, and then you're you.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Okay.
And I caught him on the streetcar, and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Joel,"
Oh, fuck.
And he goes-
"What a name."
and he goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Your name is?" He says, "Yes."
He turns and looks at your like
says
belly
yes.
button.
And I went, and then just beat the shit out of him on the
Really?
streetcar. Oh yeah,
Where?
Knocked him right
Where?
the
What
fuck out.
streetcar was it?
Queen Car near Parliament.
The old 501 East
That's
Side.
crazy.
Folks, you want to see some magic? Get on the 501
That's
and
a
ride it across
classic
town,
Bob
and you will
story.
see some shit like that.
There's
And the funny thing
people.
is, I knocked him the fuck out. Then I leaned down and I was like, "Do you remember who I am?" And he was like, "What?" I told him my full name. I'm like,
I'm
And I
pretty.
looked at him and I was like, "Are you kidding? Do you know?" And he was like, "I do." He started remembering, like, he's like, Robbie, and I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And then I basically told the people on the streetcar, I was like, "This guy used to beat me up every day at school, every day. Slap my yogurt on me in lunch, like fucking push me around, kick me in the balls, all this mean things, And I told him one day, I said, I'd be bigger than him, and I get my revenge, my comeuppance.
That's crazy.
And here we are.
I really, really hope two things. One is that someday Joel somehow listens and or sees this podcast tonight, and that blows his mind, and he's part of all this. But some people, there's people on that streetcar that witnessed a fucking giant beat the fuck out of a guy and they had no context to it. But now they'll get context and they'll be like, oh, all of that made sense. Because they probably just looked at a huge guy beat up a smaller guy.
Oh, no, I said it. After I knocked him down, I people were looking at me and they were all horrified. And I said, do you understand? I was like, I beat the shit out of this guy because.
Nice. That's great.
Like, that's not a joke. I have no problem explaining myself. In fact, I often find when I'm really angry and fighting, I'm talking while it's happening.
Right.
Like, I'm like, why are you making this happen?
Yeah, that's good.
Because frankly, it drives me crazy.
That's a very Andre the Giant thing, actually. Because during those fights in Princess Bride, he was always like reasoning through them and talking through his moves.
Definitely trying to talk people down.
Explaining what he was going to have to do. And like,
but I've said to guys, I'm like, look, stop. Don't throw punches. Do yourself a solid. Give this one up. And then you're walking at the guy and you're still doing it and trying to talk him out of it as you're choking him out. You're like, okay, this is me choking you out now.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore. Can we like just let this go?
Right.
The other times when guys are so out of line, like you watch a guy punch his girlfriend in the mouth for absolutely no reason. So you just walk over and make human origami out of him.
Right. Just
like,
crumple.
when I pull the tail, the wings flap. You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that there's street justice, right? How much of that exists? How much of that is
an enormous amount.
Like the sheriff?
Dude, one of my friends was appeared on the news. Some guy ran up and grabbed this woman and tried to like hold her hostage with a saw blade. You heard of this on College Street like about a year ago? I'm sure some of you may have heard of this. Anyway, two guys ran out and stopped this dude from like holding this woman hostage with a saw blade. And one of those dudes is my buddy. And he was like, yeah, we were just drinking in this bar, eh? And I saw these like dude outside with a saw blade, like grabbing this girl with the neck and like with the saw blade. So we ran outside and like kicked his ass, eh? And then like the police showed up and we were like, yeah, this guy had a saw blade and he was trying to hold this girl out. She's like, yeah, this guy grabbed me by the neck and threatened me with a saw blade on my neck. And all of a sudden these lads just flew out of this bar and beat the shit out of him. And like, heroes.
It's awesome.
So all you got to do, if you want to get somebody fucked up, is you, a bunch of buds, and get a saw blade,
Yeah.
get a girl, beat the fuck out of a guy, cops come, get the girl to say he was going to knife her with the blade. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, unless you're the guy that's playing that mythical part of the dude with the saw blade who goes like 10 years in jail for trying to cut a girl's neck with a saw blade.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's got to be that guy. That guy you don't like.
Wow.
Don't do it.
It's a setup. I'm saying it's a setup.
So, Trev, can you hold my saw blade?
Yeah, exactly.
Jabril! Never mind.
Saw blade.
That's all you have to say.
Nailed it. Thank you, Jabril.
The role is yours.
So much better with you here.
And yeah, I guess we're getting close to the end of that timer that is our
I
lives.
have a question for you.
But yeah, go ahead.
And this is related. I'm coming back around to Lost and Found. Are you familiar with? You probably are.
No, we roll it.
The
That's good. We have all the time in the world then.
St. Anthony. Do you know the little St. Anthony thing? The little Irish thing. You're not familiar with that?
No.
So there's this. Bob was talking about Lost and Found earlier.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family is Irish, and so my brothers and I, from my mother when she was younger, when we were younger, there's this little like well-known Irish prayer to Saint Anthony, who is the I don't know what he's
Patron
the
saint
saint
of
of,
lost
patron
your
saint
shit,
of
yeah.
lost shit, basically, and it's
I got drunk. I'm Irish and I lost everything.
Yeah, but it like I kind of like I'm not
Right,
like,
love?
I'm not religious and I don't swear by anything, but I can say that the prayer to Saint Anthony has come up with some pretty solid, like clutch finds for me. But it's so repeat after me. So let's pretend.
All
Has
right,
anyone lost something recently? Right now, Mal, I feel like you might have lost something recently. Does anyone else? Jabril,
Jabril's got his hands
what do
up.
you? What
He
have you
lost
lost?
his innocence recently.
Something that's still missing though.
He needs an adult.
He had this one
I
dick
lost
pic
my
he was-
wallet. You
But you know
knocked
where it
that
is
off.
now. You lost. No, you didn't lose your wallet. You got here and you were like,
You left it
"Hey,
at home. Then you
I don't
called
know
your
where my
mom and
wallet
was like,
is."
"Where's my
And then your
wallet?"
mom
I
texted
lost-
you and was like, "Your wallet's at home. You left it here."
Fine, I don't want to
You were
participate
driving
in
with
this.
it.
Next to these dick pics
Does
on the
anyone
cloud.
currently have something that they've lost and they want to find? Because we will invoke.
Richard
this
wants to
right
find
now.
his consciousness. Let's see if it
Richard
works.
wants to find.
Yeah, if this works, if we can bring him back. From
What's the
sleep with
opposite
this
of
prayer-
unconsciousness? Consciousness.
Consciousness. Yeah.
This is okay. So everyone repeat after me. Jabril, you too.
Everyone at
Jabril
home,
and Karim,
especially.
you guys share
You
that mic.
share.
Dear Saint Anthony.
Dear Saint Anthony.
Trevor.
I'm letting everyone at home catch up. All right.
Oh my God.
Dear Saint Anthony.
Come on, blaspheme with us.
Dear Saint Anthony.
It's not exactly blasphemy.
You can't say it? Is it? Okay,
Yeah, it
well
is.
then don't say the whole thing.
Just say the
Dear-
important
You
parts.
didn't hear what he said, right?
Dear Saint Anthony.
No, what did he say?
I don't believe it that way. I just believe it like
Yeah, I
a
know,
fun
I know,
little
I
rhyme
know,
to
I
say.
know, but
Like it's just
yeah.
fun. Dear Saint Anthony,
I'm not saying
Dear
it.
Saint Anthony.
Saint Anthony.
please come around. If Jabril says
come
this,
around.
he'll light on fire, or I will.
Come around.
One or the other.
If Jabril
This-
says this.
Okay,
One of the
so
other.
it's Dear
Wait,
Saint
what?
Anthony.
Okay.
Please come around.
Yeah.
But
Something's been lost. In this case, Rich's consciousness and can't be found.
And can't be found.
and
And that's it. And then the key is to keep looking for it. In my experience, the best thing to do after you say the prayer to the Saint Anthony is to continue looking for things. But give it a bit of time.
I think it's just breathing four
It's
times.
a prop. But Jabril just put out a big giant cross. That's hilarious. It's a prop from a murder mystery that a company that I'm associated with and do shows with. Shout out to Big Time Entertainment and Big Time Murder. They do amazing shows.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious. Shouldn't you be lighting on fire? How can you even be holding that? It's a dollar store plastic crucifix. Yeah.
Oh my God, no. I just got that joke.
Guys.
And
That's
we're
the most. Is that the
podcasting.
most
And
religious?
for
Is that
podcast.
the most religious this episode's ever gone? That was
No,
great.
he said, don't
That
you
was high
burn
drama.
people on this. That's not a religious
Oh,
joke.
man.
Yes,
Okay.
actually, my people do burn people on that.
Well, they'd have to be tiny. That thing's like
I'm a
is
pagan,
6
and
inches
we have
tall.
burned a lot of fairies in our time. And fairies
made
are
of-
little.
made
and
of
you can stick them.
plastic,
You can
Jabril.
stick them
It
to
would
tiny
melt.
little sticks like that.
6 inches tall, and it's made of plastic. Don't be ridiculous.
Look,
What sort of codes exist in the street life? Or in
What do you
the
mean codes?
in the nightlife? Like certain things where it's like if there's no religion, if there's no laws, like what are the things that people do and don't do? It's like that's not cool. And like that's allowed and like
it actually really entirely depends on who you are. That's disgusting, but it's true. And I don't want to say that because I think it's cool, but it's facts.
what's the?
If you're hardcore enough and you have enough money, you have enough influence, there's nothing that's unacceptable. I mean, look, unacceptable.
has there been people untouchable, or, like-
Unacceptable is a personal thing, and I've been disgusted by so many people and their behavior over the years, and the way they are and the things they get away with.
What's the grossest thing you've ever seen, or
You know, I don't
some
want to talk about
examples?
that.
Have you-
The very
have
grossest thing.
I
I've
hate it
seen
when
some
you say
really
that.
horrifying things.
have you ever
Like,
had
really
to
horrifying.
have you ever
Give
had
us
to
just a
like
hint.
have you ever had to like take somebody want to take somebody out
Look,
of the
human
club?
trafficking is a thing, and I've seen people's lives generate in terrifying ways. I've seen people who have dated people they shouldn't have. I've seen a lot of things. The dark life has a lot of places in it, a lot of people in it that are better off dead.
Have you ever had
Not
like
necessarily, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So you deal with people who have power
I mean, they're not
and
better
influence.
off. They'd be better off if they changed and became better people.
Great.
But
That's
like,
never going to happen.
yeah.
have you ever gonna like take somebody out and then you've been stopped because you're not allowed to remove that person?
Of course.
Yeah.
In
Yeah?
fact, one of the hard balances of my job is to walk up to people who are in the right and tell them you're not going to find justice here,
Have
Right.
you ever been out?
which is fine because you're not.
Have you ever
That's
been?
life.
Yeah, like you're in. it's
Sometimes
like-
you're not
it's-
going
it's-
to find justice in
it's a-
the quote unquote the justice system
Well, that's what I'm
either,
saying,
right?
But it's a
So
bit of a kangaroo court. That's why I was asking, like, what kind of things fly?
it's
and
like,
what
well,
doesn't,
look, for
and-
example, if your friend is talking shit to a guy who can have him whacked, and you're just some dude hanging out in the club, I'm going to ask you to go home before I ask the dude who's calling shots. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm going to tell you, look, hey man, you don't want to pick a fight with this guy because he will probably kill you.
Have you yourself ever been outpowered in those situations
Yes.
where this situation then you have to bend because you know that
Oh, of
guy's
course.
like
Oh, of course.
fucking that's the
Of
guy.
course. Of course.
How does that go down in a situation where you are the security and it's your job to to hold down the
I'm a
fort.
mercenary.
Right. So you just make the call
It's
out
very
of your
simple.
own personal safety. That
I've
makes
said
sense.
it before. I've told my bosses, if the ship is sinking, I'm leaving.
Right. Right.
If
You
a
don't
bunch
have
of
that
guys with
kind of
AKs
loyalty.
come through the front fucking
Right.
door with guns,
Right.
I'm
Mercenary.
walking out the
You're a
back
real
door.
Han Solo. Just get your pack and
no,
leave.
You have to be. How could you
But
not?
you'll
be?
come back for the
No,
just
here's the thing.
cause.
Here's
What
the
would
thing.
you
No,
possibly
if
be
for example, if someone
fighting
pulls a weapon on a
Right.
close friend of mine, like one of my coworkers while we're working, I'll fight to defend him.
Right.
But if I think the place is under siege, you're not paying me nearly enough fucking money for that
It's
shit.
like
Are
Hell's
you
Angels
crazy?
shows up. It's like, I'm out of here.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Right.
You know?
Have you say you run into like that kind of side
Sure,
of
I've
things
walked
too?
in that world many times.
Yeah. Was that like part of the fighting too? Like the underground fighting?
Only colloquially.
Yeah. Like everything else with them?
What's your fighting situation?
I'm-
You in a good tussle?
No, I'm with
Just
you.
hockey fights?
Unfortunately.
You're fragile.
Yeah.
You're lanky.
Beyond I'm like, yeah.
Punch to you, bruises and breaks ribs. And
It's not even bruising. We're talking about like full on like hospitalized for Bob's shaking his head right now.
Right.
We need to cut to that for the edit, by the way. That's
Right.
great. Yeah, no, you learn early what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. I did do a lot of contact sports, which like I defied that for a while. I was like, I will hit other people, get
Hockey?
knocked down a lot. I mean, hockey you can
Football?
hockey you can scamper away and slip
Right.
around. Football, there's no hiding. It's like
You just get
it's like
crumbled.
yeah, it's 1v1
What
like
position do you play in football?
defensive back, so like
Oof.
safety and stuff. So
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's more it's not like in the trenches,
Right.
but
You're going for it.
yeah. No, rugby was better. Rugby was more fun because it's fluid. It's like
Were you back?
I was a forward. If I had hands, I'd be a back, but I don't have hands, so I had to be a forward.
Yeah, you're fumbly.
Yeah. So no hands,
I
break
hated
easily.
it.
It's
I
like
was
you need to get away.
I was second. I played in
Second row,
grade,
lock?
I think grade 10. I played
Hey.
second row.
Yeah,
Me
buddy.
Me and a buddy of mine, so it was good because I was really good friends with him. And
So it's
we-
nice
we
to
had a
get real
good thing.
close when you're wearing like no clothes.
But I fucking hated it. It was just like
What
it
it
was
is.
just this like grinding on your fucking ears.
It's the
and
worst.
Asses in your face.
Yeah.
And then my experience of playing rugby was I always felt like I was chasing a game of rugby.
yeah.
And I would get up there finally by the time the ball was down, and I would just get there to be like hopefully in the action.
And then it moves along.
We'd have to like get in a scrum or do a line out or
It's a
whatever. and it was
ridiculous
just,
amount
like-
of cardio
and
too.
it was. I mean, shout out to people who fucking can do rugby, but I was not one of them. I hated every second of it.
Yeah, I was basically terrible at that shit too. I had no conscience for it, didn't care, was not patient, had no interest. I was like, I'm an artist, painter, sculptor, all kinds of other shit. I was like, yeah, this just
Yeah, like
Short,
I was
shorts.
doing
I'm not into
I was
it.
doing a lot of acting from a young age, so right away I got painted as like the acting Fosse. Like it's like, oh, he's an actor. Like he did,
Right.
he's not a fighter kind of
Right.
thing. Like so, it's like fighting just never really came up, and I wasn't really raised to like fight. It's like either figure it out with your words or just walk away. But
I think I told you guys this in high school. Me and like one or two other guys were the bigger guys in gym class. So one of our gym coaches was like, if he wasn't Olympic, he was close to Olympic level, like wrestling and powerlifting. And he just used to fucking dummy us in like drills, and he would demonstrate, he would show us a thing, and he would use us and just fucking like, and we like he'd be just tossing us like rag dolls, but he would pick us because we were the bigger guys who could take it. Kind of.
Yeah, I had a karate
Wow.
teacher who was just a violent asshole. He eventually got like replaced.
getting his licks in on
Did
kids.
he
Eh?
use you? Did you get
Everybody,
used?
I got kicked the shit out of quite a bit. But he was like, his dad owned the
He's
studio.
like, you're gonna like it
And
later.
His son like flunked out of school, had no other skills, but like had trained karate. His dad said like, fine, you can work here, like in the dojo and blah. And this guy used to just kick our asses, like one of those fucking like one of those the bamboo. What are those called? The bamboo batons, the kubatons or whatever. The bamboo samurai sword fucking simulacrums.
He doesn't. They don't care. He doesn't.
Karim, K-Rock. Bob's asking you a question. That was great. They're both Instagramming. Are you guys dick picking?
Together.
No, we're talking camera gear. Well, what's up?
Nice. They're both scrolling through.
That's what the kids call
Yeah.
it.
Karim and
Camera angles.
Yeah, no,
Karim
I'm not
and
dicking. I'm
Jabril
just talking
are just
camera
like-
gear.
they're like the way most
I was
the way
saying,
most
I
guys
had
look
a
through
karate
Tinder or
instructor.
porn.
Those they're bamboo like sword simulacrums, like replicas.
Mhm.
What are those called?
The kendo swords?
Yeah, it's like kendo, but it's just bamboo
Kendo
strap.
sticks.
It has like a sword handle, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's
the kendo stick.
yeah,
right,
just
anyway.
kendo sticks.
Yeah, he used to whack the shit out of us with fucking kendo sticks.
Ooh.
Like you're running along, he like hit the back of your leg if you weren't running fast enough, if you weren't
Nice.
jumping high enough. Like just abusive. Even
But
when
you
we were little
learned.
kids.
But
Like,
you learned.
Oh, sorry. Shinai.
well,
That's
thank you.
That's what they're called.
Much obliged.
All right.
I like how what I was saying that Karim and Jabril look at gear. They're like gearheads, camera gear. They look like the average guy looks at like tits and ass on the internet. They're like, fuck yeah.
Specs on that lens.
Oh,
Which is
5K.
what you want
So
in
many
your production
Ks.
team.
That's
Big-
so many Ks.
Big shout out to
You wouldn't think that black guys would like lots of Ks. Interesting. It's real interesting.
Okay.
Hey baby.
I just said what we're all thinking, guys. Oh, look who joined us! Luna just saved the day. Talk about comedic timing.
Yeah, we need
Comedic
something
timing.
here.
Look at this. Look at this.
What was I saying?
I don't know what we were saying.
Oh, follow
Something
if you want to follow our
racist.
We're
production
saying
team.
goodbye?
He's at JDK.
JDK Captures. That's with a C, not a K.
If you want to follow Luna on Instagram, you can follow her at what's her
Luna's Instagram is at Lars.
Going back to the Ks, eh,
Classington.
Lars?
She controls it though. So if you do comment or send me a DM, it's not me answering, it's Luna. She runs it, don't you, Luna?
Yeah, Luna. What do you have to say?
Or at same thing with Laughing Vikings. You hit us up at Laughing Vikings. Luna always answers that shit.
Yeah, so or at Laughing Vikings, Trade the Actor, myself.
Trey, TRE, actor.
Yep.
Trey the actor. Get it? The like
or
the.
Jabril the Thrill. That's us.
You can follow Rich. Where do we follow Rich?
If you wander along Queen Street high enough on Crystal Meth, you'll find Rich. And no, I don't know. You want to follow Rich? I don't want to give you his home address because then people will actually
Right.
start following him.
You don't want to follow Rich.
Don't
I don't-
Rich.
I'm sure he has a Facebook account like
Hit
Richard something or
right.
Richard,
Richard the Third. Hit us up at 39DD Show on Facebook and Instagram. Find 39 Drunk and Disorderlies everywhere you listen to podcasts. You want to watch the video? You should be. You should probably.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now and you're not watching the video, you're really missing.
Exactly. Check the
So
video.
go to YouTube. We're going to be eventually posting a bunch of clips and stuff on Instagram as well. Little shorty highlight reels. But yeah.
And if you want to get yourself animated to come on down for a live taping, get on camera and you may get a cartoon version of yourself one day. You never know what'll happen.
audience questions,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
going on.
you can ask me all those things you always wanted to know.
If you got a venue too, and you're listening to us and watching this, and be like, we want to host some like live event, we do that. We actually go around to other cities and we go to venues and bars and we
Yeah.
do shows.
you can experience us live in your face, live building your liquor license.
Very
Yeah.
interactive.
If you're a brewery and you want to sponsor us and throw us some cans,
you got
for
a
the
big bunch of bag of monies and you want to throw them our way, we accept that.
dog food. If you got dog
Bitcoin.
food, we take that too.
Any of those things, but mostly love. Sha-la-la-la.
Shit, if you're a vegan cheesemaker and you want to sponsor us, we'll fucking take it.
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right,
This has
thank
been
you.
Amazing.
And good night.